Good evening,
Okay.
and welcome to Seller Sessions. Just allow some of you guys to enter the room.
What's up, guys?
We've got Taylor with us. We're going to be doing AMS today.
That's what we're doing, man. AMS is going to be amazing.
Okay. So do you want to start posting from where you're from in the chat? So we know that you can hear us. Okay, Phil's come in.
Damn, man, we got a bunch of people in here, man. Casey Russell, Owen, Lisa. Look at all these guys. They're just pouring in.
Michigan, Ireland, Florida, Dallas, Blackpool, UK.
We got Germany in here, man. That's awesome.
Colorado, Macedonia.
We got Ted, California. Dude, this is awesome.
Gary from London. Excellent.
Hollywood, man. Mitchell, that's awesome. I'm jealous. Damn, man. All these beautiful places. People coming in.
San Diego. Caroline in Windsor.
We know that is, don't we? Caroline from Windsor. Who would that be?
Might be Wagster, don't know.
It would be the Wagster, I think. Yep. San Diego, Rochester. Okay, so now we start to get the room filling up quite nicely. Let's start getting going. So Taylor, do you want to give us a little bit of your background, who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I won't bore people to death. Background, dude, I've kind of always had a knack for digital marketing. When I was 16, I launched my first Facebook ad campaign. And when I looked at like the impressions, clicks, and spend, total sales and all that, I just thought it was like kind of like the coolest thing ever. But I was this kid and I didn't really have much knowledge on, entrepreneurship and whatever. So I kind of gave up with it. But it wasn't until when I graduated high school when I found Scott Volker. I think some people are familiar with him. And he kind of got me into this whole private labeling FBA stuff. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And more importantly, I saw the PPC side of it. And I always had my eye on that. So long story short, I kind of sourced some products. It was actually a acrylic lipstick organizer was my first product, man. And I just kind of flopped on it completely, but I was good with the PPC. And so what I did is I reached out to a ton of sellers and I said, hey, let me just manage your PPC for you for free. I think I can help you out and do a better job than what you're doing. And I got 99% of people didn't respond to me, but a few sellers did. And I got into a few accounts and I was doing PPC and I eventually started getting results. And this was way back when I was like 18. I'm 20 now, so that's not that long ago. But long story short, one of those companies I got in with was a supplement company that now is over $250,000 per month revenue, which is awesome. But when I started with them, they were doing like under $30,000 per month, which was crazy to see them grow and scale. It really opened my eyes up for this whole e-commerce thing, especially selling on Amazon. So that was a big shift for me. And then I started working with a lot more companies as I got my confidence up and I was delivering more results. And then I got into AMS. It was probably like nearly a year ago. And that was kind of like game over for me. It was just like, holy crap, this AMS stuff is insane. And it was delivering like an ROI that was 2 to 3, sometimes 4 times more than what the PPC was for our clients. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to stop doing this PPC stuff and I'm just going to just crush it on AMS. And that's how I got into it. That's kind of a quick background. So
yeah. So what's the kind of budgets you're managing now? You've got your agency's grown. Is it you've got a VAs working for you as well, dealing with bashing data in the background as well, haven't they?
Yeah, we got 3 full-time VAs, actually 2 full-time, 1 part-time, and then we have 1 account executive that's full-time, and his job is just to basically talk to the clients, and then 1 account executive that's in training. So we're slowly getting up there and scaling. Our budgets, man, our budgets are probably somewhere around $250,000 a month in terms of what we spend on AMS. It's climbing up there, and we have some clients that spend a ton on it, man. It's just ridiculous. But again, it kind of depends on how many products you have. But yeah.
Okay, so look, let's get into AMS. We've got a pretty advanced audience. They know it's Amazon Marketing Services in the main. But why don't you just break it down? Let's do the differentiation quickly between sponsored ads, which is through Seller Central, and then AMS, where AMS comes from, etc. Let's quickly do that before we get into the ad creatives.
Yeah, so the whole sponsored ads, obviously everybody knows that that's in the Seller Central. You can use that, otherwise known as PPC. The Amazon Marketing Services has 3 different targeting options. There's the sponsored ads, the headline search ads, and then the product display ads. Now, we don't deal with anything to do with the sponsored ads in AMS. It's basically the exact same thing as what you have in Seller Central, so we don't mess around with it. It's actually kind of worse. But we focus on the headline ads and the product display ads, and I think everybody knows this, but just to real quick reiterate, headline ads are what you see at the top of the search when you search any keyword. Product display ads show up. Product display ads, actually, most people don't notice. They show up actually in the main search on the left rail and also at the very bottom of the page. And then the main position they show up on is on your competitor's product listing page, underneath the buy box to the left of that, and some other placements below. There's actually 4 product display ad placements on your competitor's ads. It's not just one. So there's usually a misconception between that.
Yeah, and I mean, when you're setting up the campaigns, and as you look at the bottom, there's about 7 or 8 different creatives, isn't there? I mean, you don't see all of them, but some are even in email and stuff like that.
Which is so cool, and that's why it's hard to really pinpoint where your sales are coming from. We don't have that data yet, but it's really awesome to see that Amazon just has a wider reach than just a few ad placements, and they actually go through email and mobile as well.
Cool. All right, so guys, we're going to get into the question now. I will explain at the end how to get into AMS, because obviously we need to cover that. I've mentioned it on previous seller sessions, but we'll do that at the end. Let's just talk about the products. Get your pen and pads ready. And what we'll try and do, we'll do a top down and go through everything as clear as possible. So it walks you through the process so that you know what to do when it comes to getting into Vendor Central. Right, so let's start with the headline display ads. How are you building out your keyword lists for headline display ads and doing it in the most profitable manner? Do you want to just break that down?
Yeah, so I'll share a technique that we use in our agency for all our clients, and we name all of our strategies. So this one, we call it the diamond keyword digging. And it's basically when we do our diamond digging in our search term report. So we go through our search term report because that's where you're spending a lot of money for your sponsored ads PPC. And that's where you have a lot of profitable keywords in there. It's just that most people don't really know it and they don't know how to filter through the search term report. So the process is really simple. I'm going to walk you through it step by step. It's basically like, okay, request your search term report, download it, copy paste the report that you get into Excel or Google Sheets, okay? And then on row 1, again, I'm showing you the process of how to find these profitable keywords. On row 1, once you paste it into Google Sheets or Excel, you're gonna wanna click on that row and apply filters so that you can have filters across all the main columns, data that shows impressions, clicks, and so on. What you're gonna do from there is you're gonna filter the ACOS to be less than whatever your net profit margin percentage is for a product. And once you do that, what you're gonna see is in the Google Sheet or the Excel that you're in, now you're going to be only looking at every single keyword that has converted at less than 30% ACOS or whatever that net profit margin percentage is. So the last step is ultimately you just want to go through the campaigns and ad groups, filter out all the campaigns and ad groups so that you're only looking at the campaigns and ad groups that are showing ads for one product. So you can see, okay, these are all of the profitable keywords for this one product. And again, you'll know that it are profitable keywords because if you know your net profit margin percentage, you want to filter less than that on the ACOS column so you can see all of those amazing keywords. And most people don't, again, they just don't understand how to use the search term report. So that's where we start with every single client, no matter how big or small they are. It's the best place you can start because you're taking the existing data that's already proven to convert and be profitable for you on the sponsored ad side. And then what we're doing is we're just kind of bringing that list over onto the headline ads, and we want to bid on those same keywords on the headline ads as well. Now, again, if we made a video, I think we're going to put it in the link to go over everything I just explained because I know it's kind of complicated. But what you don't want to do is when you pull that list of profitable keywords, in other words, diamond keywords, that's very profitable for your one product, you don't want to just copy paste that whole list into one headline ad campaign because you'll have a lot of profitable keywords that only have one order. Now, a keyword that only has one order, it's not necessarily proven to be consistent. Now, if it only has one order, we're going to group up all the keywords, the profitable keywords that have one order, put them in their own campaign. All the keywords that have 2 orders, put them in their own campaign, 3 orders in their own campaign, and then greater than 3 orders, all the keywords greater than 3 orders are going to go in their own campaign as well. So that's how we segment it. We actually use a more in-depth process, but I just want to simplify it for everybody on the call, and you can do it like that. And that's really the best way to build your profitable keyword list is just taking that existing data that you already have. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's pretty much clear enough. But what do you do if you don't have any historical data? How do you generate new keywords for like a newly launched product?
Yeah. So This is actually a strategy that I've used almost since I first started in Amazon PPC. So when you launch a new product, the best way to build an awesome keyword research list is to take the seed keywords out of your title, run them through merchant words, and build a list based on those keywords in your title. So you want to take the main keywords out of your title. Again, this really only works if you've done a good job optimizing your title, which most sellers do, and I imagine everybody on this call does. And the main reason it works so well is because if you think about it, if you build your list based on keywords in your title, your keyword research list is going to be congruent with what you have on your listing. So Amazon's going to reward you with that and basically give you more traffic for doing that, because you're bidding on keywords that are directly relevant to the keywords that are in your title, and basically, that you have. So another strategy that we use, that you can use just to build more keywords, we like to use, I think it's Keyword Inspector is a fairly well-known tool. And we like to, for every single one of our clients' products, so let's say that they're selling a testosterone booster. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to search the main keyword that people are searching when they're looking for that product. Now, obviously, it's going to be testosterone booster. So we're going to search that on Amazon, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to find the top 2 optimized competitor listings on page 1. Okay, the top 2, and we're going to go through all of them, find the top 2, and then we're going to reverse ASIN extensive on those 2, and we're going to build more keywords off of those 2 listings. And again, we look for the ones that are best optimized, and that's just because for simple reasons, when we reverse ASIN, we want to get a good list of keywords basically. So those are 2 strategies that I would use, and we use it over and over for all of our clients when you want to just build that initial keyword research list.
Cool. I'd like to interject one here. I'd like to get your feedback on it, because obviously you're further ahead of me with AMS, but I've been experimenting using the sponsored ads within AMS to search a bunch of my competitors' products, and then looking at the suggested keywords and then pulling data out there. Now there's some junk in there, but I've actually found some gold, because I've been running some stuff and I found that half the keywords I did pull out and filtered out the single word keywords, they started to convert. So that could be another way if people are really struggling to come up with the terms.
Absolutely.
And that's a good way of going off and researching more about the product by extracting your competitors.
Absolutely, I completely agree. It's something that you actually should do, and I should have mentioned it as one of the strategies. But everybody should be using that, because it's another way to leverage the tools that Amazon's giving you within Amazon Marketing Services. And if you have it available to you, it's just like you have to use it. I mean, it's like, why wouldn't you use it, right? Yeah. So definitely a great strategy you can use.
Cool. So we've covered the development of the keyword list, etc. Mm-hmm. Let's build on the bid strategy. How do we build out our bid strategy for this, for the display?
Okay, so sorry, for the bidding?
For the headline display ads. What kind of bid strategy are you working? Obviously, because it's prime real estate, it's not necessarily going to be cheap, but how do we manage those kind of bidding processes?
Within our agency, we use a weighted average of the average cost per click for all the keyword data that we have in our search report.
Hold on. You just went way ahead. A weighted average of blah, blah, blah.
Actually, we use a weighted average on the average cost per click for all the existing keyword data we have in our search report. Now, to simplify it for everybody listening, I mean, what you can use is you can just use the average instead of a weighted average. The weighted average is a little bit more complex, give you a little bit more accurate data. But basically what we do is, we go into the search term report. Again, a lot of our clients spend a lot of money on PPC, so we're fortunate to have that existing data where we can already kind of see where we should be putting our bids for the headline ads. So we'll go through and we'll basically filter all the campaigns and ad groups in the search term report to be only looking at the ads for one product, and then we'll get a weighted average of the average cost per click on all the data for that product. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's kind of what I think that is probably the best strategy you can use. Now, that's if you have existing data. So let's say you launch a new product. What do you do if you launch a new product and you have no search term report data? We use a bunch of different strategies. One of them that I think was introduced to me from Brian Johnson, which some people may be familiar with, he uses a strategy where it's kind of like you launch an auto campaign in your PPC, $5 bid, $20 budget, run it for 2 days, and then after 72 hours, once it ends, wait 72 hours, pull the search term report, go into the search term report, filter all the campaigns, so you're only looking at that one auto campaign, and basically just see, what is the average cost per click for the main keywords based on what Amazon thinks it is with a $5 bid? So you can kind of just go in and see, so for my main keyword testosterone booster on this auto campaign, Amazon's bid was $2.77. That's kind of like, then we can use that as like a foundation for the peak as to how high, some of our competitors are bidding, and then we can kind of base it off of that as well. It's kind of like a range that we can go work off of.
because I think the other thing to take into consideration, especially I do a lot more in terms of the product ads, is that there's a minimum spend, say 63 cents to 89 cents. It gives you a ballpark in the US, but on AMS in the UK, it's like 2 or 3 pence is the minimum spend per click. But obviously I've been trying to test where can I start with low? So they say it says 63, but it says 63 and I try at 30. Sometimes these are okay and sometimes they're not. And it seemed, I find that I have to leave it for a couple of days. So let's say I create a stack of campaigns and I purposely low bid and I allow it to run for a couple of days. Now, sometimes I get lucky and they start generating impressions that move into clicks. Yeah. But quite often it seems like in the US that the benchmark for the bids, they start at a much higher price than in the UK.
And are we talking about specifically for the product display ads or just overall on all the ads in general?
On AMS ads, in terms of the product display ads, what I found when you're doing it via product to list on other people's listing. But we'll get into those after. We're just talking about the actual bid strategies and the start points, because I think it's important to people to know is that if they start with a really low bid, they might be in trouble for a few days because it won't enter into the auction and start firing.
Yes, I mean typically, with the product display ads, we'll talk about that. I guess in the future.
We'll move that. Because we'll cover that later. All right. So going back on course and sticking to the program, how are you implementing your match types for each of these campaigns?
We keep it simple. I mean, there's a lot of people that say, okay, there's no ad groups in AMS, right? So you only have campaigns, which means that if you have a list of 100 keywords, right? We've just put that same list in the same campaign with the phrase and the exact match type. Now, we've tested where, we separate it. We have one campaign with just the phrase match keywords and then the other campaign with the exact match. And if you want to have like a really, really clean AMS account, you can do it like that. But we merge it together because we launch thousands of campaigns, and quite frankly, it would double the amount of campaigns we have. And we do it for the reason because if you hit 800 campaigns in your AMS account, it starts freezing up and it starts crashing. And I've had to contact Amazon, tell them, hey, look, what's going on here? I mean, you guys can't even support 800 campaigns. And they'll just say, we apologize. And they'll go through a process that they do to, I don't know what it is, maybe make the server better or something. But we put them in the same campaign, phrase and exact match, same campaign, because of that reason. Is we don't want to crash our clients' accounts on AMS. Cool. It's kind of the main reason.
And what kind of what match types are winning for you generally overall? I know that's very broad question.
Yeah, so there's only phrase and exact, but you have to test them both. I mean, we built a software that kind of lets us see which match types are most effective. It's actually really surprising. It's around 65. It's around 65% of a lot of our profitable keywords come from the exact match, and then the rest comes from our phrase, which is I think compared to the PPC, sponsored ads on the Seller Central, I think most of it comes from exact match. I think it's a little bit higher towards the exact match on the Seller Central side, but it's a little bit more evenly distributed on AMS headlines. So
sounds good. Okay, let's talk about brand pages, custom URLs. Do you want to give the audience a breakdown of what they are and how they can be utilized?
Yeah, we can. Dude, I can talk about this for like 4 hours, seriously. So I'll let everybody in on like a little secret that this is really cool. So just last week, literally, I got off the phone with, there's an executive at Amazon who's on the AMS team that we speak with frequently. And the only reason, I won't get into how we got into talking with him, but I heard a rumor that the brand page actually doesn't convert better than the custom URL. So I went to him and I was like, hey, I heard this. Like, what's the real deal? Does the brand page actually have a brutal conversion rate? Like, what's up? And he said, look, it's an awesome question. He said, the custom URL generally converts better than the brand page for the reason that the custom URL displays the products in a more organic manner than the brand page. He said that what happens is the brand page is so like new to the shopper. They click through, they go onto a brand page and they're like, I've never seen this before. Like they're just like, they kind of the bounce rate is really high. And the bounce rate is just the amount of people that come to a landing page and then exit the landing page. So he said, generally the custom URL is the better option to go with because it's more natural to what the shoppers are used to shopping with. And that's that's kind of the best practices. But that being said, don't just go and redirect all your campaigns to the custom URL. We have clients that have a brand page that converts better than the custom URL. And you can split test that by, okay, let's say you have 100 keywords in a campaign that's going to a custom URL and you want to see if it converts better on the brand page. Well, then you can just, copy that campaign and redirect it to the brand page, and you can see, and you can run the split test basically. But if you have a brand page that is very well optimized and your client's done a good job, or you've done a good job, you have a video up and you have just really beautiful images and whatnot, and you display the products in a nice organized manner where you can easily find the products, you may see that it converts better. So you want to test both. I'm just saying that this is what I heard directly from an executive at Amazon. It's like, look, the custom URL generally converts better because it's more organic to what the shopper's used to. Also, you know what? Well, here, do you have any questions on that? I'll tell you a story after, is that kind of clear?
Well, you've got an example of a brand page. I think Richard's got a link for it. We can post it into the chat.
So this is
people have not signed in. They want to get they want to imagine what the brand page looks like and what goes into it and how it can be structured.
Yeah,
it's like a landing page. So it's important that it's got hierarchies and structures for conversion.
Exactly. And this landing page he'll be posting the link is it's a really good brand page. And it's very clean, and they've done a very good job with it. So I'll tell you a quick story. We had about 100 headline ad campaigns for one product that was directing all the traffic to our client's brand page, and we estimated that the ACOS after about 1 to 2 months of optimization was going to be around 33%. We have an estimation process that we go through, but after 1 to 2 months after actually 2 months of our optimization, the ACOS was way higher. It was at like 50%, and I couldn't figure it out why. And then I was shopping for, then one night I was shopping for like an iPhone 7 case because I just bought a new iPhone. And so funny enough, I click on the headline ad, right? Okay, so I go to, and the headline ad takes me to a brand page for the iPhone case sellers, their brand page. And I was super frustrated because on the brand page, I couldn't find the iPhone case that was in the headline ad. It's not that it wasn't there. It was there. It's just that there were so many products on the brand page that it was very difficult for me to find it. And it just hit me like a light bulb. I was like, this is why our 100 campaigns aren't converting well. It's because our client's brand page had so many products that when they got to it, it was like the product that they wanted to click on wasn't there for them to immediately click on. Right. Yeah. So does that make sense? So what you need to do is you need to make sure that if you're driving to your brand page, dude, you have to make sure that product those products that are in your headline ad are right there for them to click on in your brand page. And that's why I said in this example, they do a very good job of making it very easy to find the product that you want. And that's why I showed this example to everybody, is because most brand pages absolutely suck, and it's a nightmare trying to find the product. And again, so this is the end of the story. What we did is we rerouted everything to the custom URL, and the ACOS dropped by 50%. It was amazing. That was like don't make that mistake that we made, because we burned through quite a bit of cash.
Geez. That makes sense. Okay, so what about in terms of writing headlines and the click-through rates on headline ads? Have you got any strategies there?
Yeah,
they're taking up a lot of real estate, and you've got to get interest in from the customer. Is there some key things there that we can cover?
Yeah, there's no one size fits all, right? I mean, every single niche is different, but when it comes to writing headline ads, it's all about having a deep understanding of your typical customer or shopper for whatever product that you're selling. And if you have a really deep understanding, what we do for all of our clients is when we start working with them, let's say that they're selling, again, testosterone boosters, my classic example. What I'll do is we'll build an avatar basically for the average person that's searching for a testosterone booster. We'll ask the questions, okay, someone that wants to buy a testosterone booster, where do they shop? What kind of clothes do they wear? I mean, where do they work? What's their average annual income? And this may seem like a ridiculous process to go through, and you might say, well, what's the value in this? Well, the value is that you can really understand, okay, what their day-to-day lives are, so you can create a more targeted headline for this shopper. Okay, now once you go through this process, again, you'll have a really deep understanding of your typical shopper. But if you just want to not do that, you just want to fast forward, maybe you already understand it. What we do is we have 3 typical headline ad strategies that we use. So one is called humor headlines, the other one's called search headlines, and the last one's pizza headlines. And with each of these headlines, you want to start it or end it with one of the main benefits that your product gives to the customer. Okay, so let me explain what they are. So they're in order of hardest to easiest. So humor headlines are basically obviously funny headlines. You're trying to make your customer laugh with something funny. Now I'd love to give examples with ones that we've used for clients, but I can't, or else you'll know what the product is. But it's if you know your product, you can make something funny. I mean, if you're selling something like a spin mop, where it's just like, not everybody wants to buy a spin mop, but maybe they have to. I mean, you can make it funny for the customer, and you can write something funny that makes it like a new experience for them, and you can see a much higher click-through rate, which is the whole goal of writing a headline, right? Okay. So the second type that we use is search headlines. Now this is if you're familiar with Google AdWords, there's something called keyword insertion tool. I think it's called keyword insertion tool.
Dynamic keyword insertion.
Dynamic keyword insertion. You're the master of Google AdWords.
So when the user types and they appear in Google, it will highlight in bold the search term, and it will be limited in characters, but it will present those words inside the Google ad to give relevance.
We try to duplicate that, and it's a very manual process that we go through. So we'll segment all of our giant list of keywords, and we'll try to basically pull all the long tail ones, put them into their own campaign. And so if someone's searching for, testosterone booster with horny goatweed ingredient, that's one of the ingredients. It's kind of a weird one to say, but we're going to make a headline ad that says those exact words. And it's a very tedious process, but we do it for all of our clients because it drives an insane click-through rate. We've seen as high as up to 8 to 10%, which is unheard of. I mean, that's absolutely unheard of. But these are long-tail keywords, so they don't have as high traffic. So keep that in mind. But if you do it right, I mean, the effect is very, very positive, because you're basically the shopper's searching something, and then your headline ad's right below it, and it's word for word what they searched. So it's like, the click-through rate is obviously going to be very high because you're just telling them exactly what they want. And that's kind of the whole purpose of it. So those are the search headlines. Now, the pizza headlines, I know it's such a weird strategy name. I had a mentor way back in the day. He was teaching me Facebook ads, and he said, Taylor, you know what the problem is with Facebook ads? He said, look at all these big companies. He said, big companies, small companies, no matter what sizes are, 99% of them don't know what they're doing. And I said, well, what do you mean? He says, look at the headline for all of these Facebook ads. And I read the headline. He said, now tell me, do you know what they're selling just by reading the headline ad? I said, no, I have no idea. He said, see, that's the problem. He said, if you're selling pizza, tell them you're selling pizza so they know right away. He said, it's a simple strategy that you can use. And this is the pizza headline, something we use.
Hitting the fisherman over the head with a wet fish. Yeah.
With the wet fish. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's something we use. And it's very effective for the product display ads. We don't try to do it for the headline ads. Again, we try to use the humor headlines or the search headlines, but for the product display ads, we use the pizza headlines because you're in that little corner of the box on the competitor listing, and the click-through rate overall isn't that high because it's not the most noticeable ad. I mean, yes, it is there, but if you're immediately in your headline, again, if you're selling a spin mop, or whatever you're selling, the first two words of your headline, it just describes exactly what you're selling. There's going to be a slight connection between what they searched, and you might be able to grab them and pull them in more, opposed to if you were just trying to say, yeah, this is just a bunch of features and benefits, and you didn't actually tell them what it was. Now it's kind of counterintuitive. Most people think, well, if I have an image of the product, they'll know what I'm selling right away, but not everyone looks at the image first, and that's why it's important to also do the headline. Some people like to read, some people like the image. It's kind of, so we like to use the pizza headline and tell them right away what the product is in the headline ad for the product display ads. But that's kind of the three main strategies that we use. So
cool. Well, that leads us into product ads. I mean, there's two different targeting options. Should we break out what they are?
Yeah. So there's actually three. It's just that not everyone has access to the third one. This is like a little secret one it'll be rolled out. So there's specific product-based targeting, and that's where you're telling Amazon, hey, I want you to show my ads on this ASIN. It's the most narrow, laser focus type of ad there is. And then there's interest-based targeting. Now, interest-based targeting is where you're basically, Amazon tells you, hey, these are a bunch of interests and they're shoppers' search behavior. So you're targeting shoppers' search behavior. So if let's say that you're in the household, you're selling a product that's a household product. Well, your interest that you would want to target is the household supplies, and that's because Amazon's telling you, this interest holds all of the shoppers that have the greatest search behavior for searching in household supplies. And the way to think of it is that it's a very, very broad, very, very broad targeting. And you want to usually have a low bid on that, because I've seen sellers and have like $10 sales because they set like a $1.20 bid with a $100 budget, and they didn't look at it for a week. And then Amazon went through and they're like $1 clicks. They're maxing out the budget every day, and they come back a week later and like, holy crap, what's going on? It's because it's very broad. I mean, nobody goes and puts a ridiculously high bid on an auto campaign on sponsored products. You want to take the same approach with these interest-based targeting ads. You don't want to go in there and put a very high bid. The last one is related categories targeting. Okay, so this one's really cool. And you're going to see it. So when you click on product display ads, right, when you come into AMS, there's going to be the two options. There's going to be the specific product-based targeting and then the interest, right? If you click on the specific product-based targeting, this is where the related categories targeting option is going to show up. And if it doesn't show up for you, it's just because you don't have access to it yet. Amazon's kind of releasing it to certain sellers as time goes on. I've actually even seen one of our clients had it for a week. We launched campaigns and then disappeared the next week. But like all our campaigns were still running in that targeting. It's just that it wasn't, we couldn't launch more campaigns. So what it is basically Amazon allows you to target specific categories related to your product. So you can't just go out and target unrelated categories. They don't allow you to do that right now, at least. Maybe they will in the future. But they'll give you a list of all the related categories. And the best practice is, okay, take the top two, the ones that are most relevant to your product, and bid a little bit higher on those ones. We usually set the bid anywhere between like 26 to 56 cents, usually starting on the low end and then gradually increasing it. But you want to bid on all of them because Amazon's telling you these are all related to your product. So you want to go through and bid on all of them because it's just, that's important. And so the way I like to describe it to people is think of it like a funnel. At the top of your funnel, you have the interest-based targeting, and it's the most broad type of targeting you can do. Below that, you have the related categories if you have access to it. And that's a little bit more narrowed down to the category level. And then the last one, you have the specific product and you're telling them, hey, I want to show my ad on this ASIN, and it's the most laser focused one that you can possibly have. So that's important to understand, because if you understand that hierarchy, that funnel, then you know, okay, the top of the funnel, I don't want to bid very high. The middle, I'm going to bid a little bit higher, and the exact match, I can feel comfortable bidding, the highest, because it's very laser focused targeted. So, yeah, that's kind of the three different match types in a nutshell.
And so now we've broken down the three different match types.
Or
we go back to the targeting of the ASIN, which I think most people will be interested in here. Obviously, Amazon lacks in terms of reporting, and we've both discussed that we would separate our campaigns to a granular level. We might put 1 or 2 ASINs in per campaign. So with in mind, what is some of the best strategies and approaches for that, especially the copy? So let me give an example. Say you've got, say you want selling coffee and you've got a competitor that sells coffee, but it's magnitude of mold or something in it. Is it worth advertising on their ASIN, and with the copy you slightly change, because you can change the text within the ad to kind of reflect that? It's almost as if to say our coffee is better than their coffee by being cheeky. Have you come across anything like that?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, ultimately, like you want to target everything. You want to get your ad everywhere and everywhere. And like you said, you want to be cheeky with the headlines, and you want to figure out a way that can kind of just grab their attention. Again, if it's a slightly different, if there's a different, form of coffee, I think we kind of lagged out there, so I didn't understand the whole question. But if it's a different form of coffee, slightly, again, you can tweak that headline to be more targeted towards, whatever that audience is that's on that page, so you can kind of pull them into yours. But what was the main question asking about product display ad strategies that we use?
So, the strategy for these ads, because obviously you're targeting your competitors, right?
Yes.
So you can just put your generic ad under their ad, on their product page numerous times, right? But really you want to get a message across. You want to be able to look at what they're doing. Like although I'm advertising here, other than price, how can I make my product stand out under their buy box?
Yeah, so we have a ridiculous amount of product display strategies. Again, it's because of the amount of segmenting you can do, but we have 14 actually. I'll go over 2. These are kind of like the 2 main ones that we see convert really well. So one of the top converting product display ads that we have is it's very similar to what we did in the very first thing we talked about, which is you want to go to your search term report, you want to pull all the diamond keywords you have that are very profitable. Okay, so essentially we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go pull our search term report, okay? We're going to go into the search term report. We're going to filter the ACOS to be less than whatever that net profit margin percentage is for a product. Filter the campaigns and ad groups, so we're only looking at, ads and keywords for one specific product. And the last final step is, this is the closest part of all, in the customer search term column, you want to filter and search be 0, and it's only going to display ASINs that you have clicks or conversions on. And ultimately what you want to do is you basically want to take all of the converted profitable ASINs in your search term report and just make sure you laser focus target those on the product display ads. And most people don't think that they have any ASINs in their search term report, but you do. And now these, if you don't have any automatic campaigns running, you won't have any ASINs, because these ASINs come from automatic campaigns. That's why I'm a huge advocate of always make sure you have an auto campaign running at a low bid, because it brings in, because Amazon actually targets specific ASINs and it'll tell you the ASINs that converted. Now for all of our clients, we usually launch like 10, we launch like 10 auto campaigns at a lower bid, just for the purpose of basically farming ASINs from those. It's kind of like our farming list. And then we pull out the search term report and go through to find these ASINs that have converted at a profitable rate, because otherwise you don't know. There's no way to tell. In AMS product display ads targeting, they don't tell you which ASINs converted. I think you mentioned that earlier. So that's why this is the very first process that we go through. Now, to run you through a few examples. So let's say you do this process and you see that you have like 20 different ASINs that have orders at a profitable rate. You don't want to just go and take all these ASINs and put it into one product display ad, specific product display ad targeting campaign. You don't want to do that. Very similar to the headline ad strategy, what you should do is, okay, take all of the single order ASINs, put them into their own campaign, the 2 order ASINs, put them into their own campaign, the 3 order ASINs into their own campaign, and then all the ASINs with greater than 3 can go into their own campaign. Again, these are only ASINs that convert at a profitable rate. But that's, like, our agency uses a much more complex version. It's just that I don't really want to get into it, because it's like I feel like I'd bore the hell out of people and they wouldn't understand it. But that's a very simple method that you can use to go and segment the list. Again, you don't want to just put it all into one campaign, because you won't know which ones are performing well. You want to at least have some minor form of segmenting them, so you can actually see, okay, how did the single order ASINs convert well? And first of all, it is best practices to do that, because think about it. If you have like 20 ASINs that converted at a profitable rate, but they only have 1 order, again, it goes back to, it's not very consistent. You don't know if it's going to perform at that profitable rate. Maybe you just got 1 click and 1 order, it's profitable, and that was that, and it's actually a really unprofitable ASIN, but you just don't know. And versus the ASINs that have 10, 20, 30, I even say that they had like 57 orders, and you want to put that into its own campaign and make sure that you're like laser focused on that one specific ASIN, and you want to segment it, put one ASIN into one campaign if it has that many orders, because it's super important to do that.
Yeah. So giving a quick top down of going over like some of these strategies. The one other thing I was thinking about as well, which could be good in terms of contextual, it doesn't necessarily be your competition, but it's a complement. If you sell coffee, you advertise against biscuits or
coffee
something
cups
that's related to coffee. Yeah, coffee cups and filters and things like that. And you utilize it as in a contextual way, a bit like the Google Display Network. So overall, you've got going after the ASINs of your competitors, coming out with snappy titles that's going to lead in, whether that's funny or it's giving you a competitive advantage in terms of what your product does over what their product does, as you're going to appear on their page multiple times. Then you've got the interest targeting. So from that, that's almost like a branding exercise. So you reach out to different industries that's going to be related to yours. For instance, a lot of impressions generated there. Maybe start with like low clicks, and then you've got the complementary style campaign. Now, I've kind of been running something along those lines, and I can't prove it dead yet, but I've got this feeling there's a correlation where my overall sales have gone up because my brand recognition's increased on Amazon. Because they're banner blind, people don't necessarily click on the ads. They'll actually go past my ad a half a dozen times, go back to the search page, and then click on the organic listing, and then go through and then maybe make the purchase. I don't have any proof of that, but I am seeing a correlation of an increase overall in sales, but not necessarily attributed to PPC clicks.
Yes,
and I can anything.
Yes, exactly. You're definitely right. It's kind of like the whole theory of, okay, when you're doing email marketing, you got to send out the sales email like 14 times before they actually buy. It's like, okay, they got to see your ad like 14 times before they buy. So if you get everywhere, I mean, like you said, they're going to be like, they're going to see you everywhere, and maybe not even on a conscious level, maybe just on a subconscious level, but because they on a subconscious level see your ad, they start to begin to trust your product more. Again, because like 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 times more than all your competitors, like you said. And what we do, and this is kind of like something that all of our clients just think it's absolutely hilarious. They'll search your main keyword and they'll see the headline ad, they'll see the sponsored products ads, and then when they click on any of the competitors' listings, they'll see our ad in the product display ads. It's just a complete domination of the ads. And like you said, when we come in and we do that, where we start putting them all over the place on the headline ads and the product display ads, it correlates with an overall increase in sale in the business, but you can't necessarily see it within AMS. It's just the actual organic sales. And it's a gradual process, kind of like an overnight thing where it's like, wow, our ads are everywhere. People are just going to start purchasing, but it's a gradual process. And I think that's because, some people might be shopping, they look for something and they're just in a browsing mode and they see your ads everywhere. And then next week, same thing, they come back, they see your ads everywhere again. And then maybe the next day after that, they come through after seeing your ads about 100 times. They finally, they see yours the most, they purchase yours. And that's why I think it's more of a gradual process if you do try to go with that ad domination across everything. One more thing, I forgot. So for the specific product display ad targeting, this is another, I said I'd give 2 strategies out of the 14 that we have. The other one is we use Jungle Scout. This actually came from one of the people in a mastermind that I'm in. I can't quote his name. I completely forget, which I apologize for. But we use Jungle Scout. So what we'll do is, let's say that we're selling, again, a testosterone booster. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into Jungle Scout. We're going to search testosterone booster. And then what we're going to do is we're going to filter the specific filters to be less than our product's rating. So if we have a rating that's 4.5 stars, that's somewhere between 4.3 to 4.7, right? That's the 4.5 star threshold. So we'll go in Jungle Scout, search testosterone booster. We'll filter the review rating to be less than 4.3. So we can find all the competitors that have a rating that's less than ours, right? And then we'll filter it so the price is like 20 to 30 to even 40% greater than our. We can build a list of ASINs that are basically, okay, these are all the list of ASINs that have a higher price and a lower rating. And then we go through and we segment and break it down. So this is definitely an effective strategy that you can use. It's like you're basically targeting all the products that are crappier in a certain sense. So it's definitely a good method to use.
Cool. Okay. I think we got a few little drop-outs. Give us because your audio went. I think it's something. Do you want to just give us 3 or 4 bullet points of that, what you were just explaining, just in case some of the audience missed it?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry. So what I was talking about is we use Jungle Scout. So we search the main keyword for our product. Okay. And then what we do is we filter the rating. So we're only looking at, so if we're selling testosterone booster, we search testosterone booster, and then we filter the rating to be less than what ours is. So if we have 4.5 stars, right, what we're going to do is we're going to filter it on Jungle Scout to be less than 4.3, so that we're only looking at, people that sell testosterone boosters that have a 4-star or less than that rating. And then what we'll do is we'll also filter it so the price is 20 to 30% greater than our product. So two variables: lower rating, greater price, and then we build that list of ASINs. Now, there's no tool that automatically just download to CSV ASINs. We have virtual assistants that go in and find the actual ASINs for all of those products, and then we have a process where we kind of segment them and target them. And again, this is just for that further brand domination kind of strategy.
Sounds good. Okay, let's go back to the brand pages again and talk metrics. How, we can utilize some of this data, can't we? So we didn't discuss that earlier on. Should we go into that?
Yeah. So the metrics for the brand page.
Yes, please.
Okay, so there isn't a whole lot of metrics. I mean, demographic, they're going to give you the gender, they're going to give you the age, they're going to give you the main category that they're shopping from and whatnot. But what our clients use it for is they use it for any external traffic that they're running, any external ads like Google AdWords or Facebook ads. And so mainly for Facebook ads, they'll go through and they'll say, okay, we see that, 80% of our sales, our orders, comes from shoppers that are from the age group of 55 to 64 or 50 or 65. So what we're going to do is with our Facebook ads, we're going to tweak it so we're only targeting that demographic, and also, whatever gender is more popular. So if it's like 70% of your people that order in are male and in that age group, then they'll leverage that. Another thing is there's that big yellow button, and most people overlook this. It says measure traffic sources, and I think you're very familiar with this. It allows you to basically build a UTM code, which is kind of just like a tracking link, so that when you're running external ads, what you can do is if you create a Facebook ad, you can use this link and it'll drive it to your brand page, and Amazon will specifically tell you how many sales came from that Facebook ad. So it's the only place that I know of, maybe you know of another way, but it's the only method that I know of where you can actually track the sales that come from any external targeting methods that you're using.
Yeah, now I'm going to be experimenting with external traffic with it over the coming months. But at the moment, like I've just been building out campaigns and running lots of tests. I'm in mess in the US, so I'm managing on both sides. But one thing I haven't gone into brand pages at this stage. It's not something I've set up yet. But I think we've pretty much covered quite a lot of ground here. We've got some questions for the audience they're going to ask you. But obviously, people want to use AMS. I'm going to quickly give them a heads up on how to get into AMS. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to interject here and just go through the steps for people. Yeah. So first thing you need to do is send up the vendor express, whether you're based in the UK or in the US. You're going to need to buy a UPC code, unless you've got one already. Go to AliExpress, go and find a cheap product on there. Contact them on AliExpress to make sure you get a proper invoice, just in case Amazon asks for that in terms of vendor express. All right. Then you open the account and then you start to create the listing. You know, build the listing as you would normally, make it look pretty, make sure you've got some images there, do the keyword things so you're being authentic at this stage. Right. Then you'll get to the stage of where you're going to offer this to Amazon. Now you've got to determine the price. Now, even though we pay FBA fees, Amazon still have their original costs. So you've got to be realistic that they've still got to find a way of delivering the product. Now, this is like a sacrificial lamb. So you might not make any profit out of this. But the idea is that you're trying to get into AMS, right? So you'll go through all of those steps, and then what will happen is Amazon will review that. They will request some samples, normally anywhere between 12 and 24. Adjust that because they'll ask for more than necessary, and then just go back and say I can supply you 12 if they ask for 24. But give them the reasonable amount because they're going to need to obviously test on that, right? Once the PO has been raised and they send you the shipping labels, that's when the magic doors open and you get access. AMS. Obviously, you've got to get into the program first, but you need to treat this in a way that there's another alternative that you can do. Say you got a product, you started out on Amazon, you went into the Me Too market, you bought something that fits in a shoebox and stuff like that, and you've lost your ass on it. You might as well extract some of that out of Amazon and send them some samples and see if they'll take on that product. So it then becomes, that sacrificial lamb is actually offloading a junky product that you can get rid of because it's and Amazon favors their own search results in their own favor, and they can pretty much pitch out the price as they wish. Then that's a good way of offloading the product if that's acceptable. Now, if you're based in the UK like I am, and you want to do AMS in the US, so you set up a Vendor Express US account. So I use the same product that I offered the UK to the US as well. So very easy to copy across the listings, UPC, and all that kind of stuff. Now, 3 key components that you must have, but you're not always aware of that you can use. They're going to ask for your bank, your local address, and you're going to need an EIN number. Now, with your bank, you can use your currency company, not your local bank. There's no rule for that. So I can use Currencies Direct, who I use for everything for paying my supply chain and what I've got plugged into my Seller Central in the US. I use that account and that's been accepted. Now, my local address there, I don't have to live in the US. All I need is somewhere the labels, like the labels can be addressed to. So I use my prep company. So all my test samples for Amazon get sent in, like for the Vendor Express, go to my prep center. It cost me a little bit extra, but that's because I wanted to open up AMS, and I will be supplying Amazon on a larger scale because I want to work with Vendor Express as a diversify aspect. But without going off track, the final part of the jigsaw is having an EIN number. So you can go online, do a search, and basically you can phone them up, go and top up your Skype if you're based in the UK because it's not a free phone. You wait about 30 minutes on the line. You're going to download some paperwork that you would need to complete. It takes 10 minutes to complete that paperwork.
Right.
And you can say that as long as you say you're the boss of the company, they will then give over the details over the phone and then they post the rest to you. So there you go. That's how you're going to get into AMS in the US from the UK.
That's good.
So hopefully people enjoy it.
For anybody that doesn't know that, he just dropped a serious value bomb. I mean, there's not a lot of people that know that. I haven't heard anybody that knows of that strategy. So definitely, I don't know, go over the recording and take notes on that.
At the end of the day, Seller Sessions is about the sellers.
Yes.
It's about a no-nonsense approach
exactly.
to Amazon. There's a lot of opportunity for people to be pitched to and stuff like that. But what we purely focused on content. And so I think good platform in the sense that I want to see people do well, and it's a great opportunity as long as you don't abuse it, and you can use Vendor Express to your advantage, and Amazon benefits as well. It's not just the way to spam. But anyway, going off track slightly, let's get into one thing we didn't cover. We didn't cover the finalization of the optimizing your campaigns. Once you've got a load of data, and you've been running your campaigns and it starts to optimize, you've got to decide what campaigns you're keeping, what you're ditching. Any key points there we can cover?
I mean, okay, so the process that we went through to optimize our campaigns before we actually had software built it's horrible. It's actually a nightmare. What you can do is you can go into your AMS account, filter the spend greatest to least, and on a weekly basis, click through open up all of the campaigns on page 1, download the reports for all of them, the campaign performance reports for all of them, and try to put in the Excel report, build a graph so that you can see how it's trending, the spend and sales over time and all the metrics. And this is the process that we used to go through for trying to optimize it, at least to a good level. But I mean, other than that, if you want to use a really lazy strategy, that's a very, very, very poor way to optimize your campaigns. You can open all the campaigns on page 1, again, when you filter the spend greatest to least, or what you can do is filter the ACOS from greatest to least. So you're looking at all the campaigns that have a very high ACOS. And then you can just go in and then adjust look at all the keywords that have poor performing ACOS and adjust where necessary. But the problem is that with the current reporting, they don't tell you, okay, this is how the ad performed last month or last week or yesterday or whatever. It's only lifetime viewed, so it's very deceptive. And people, what happens is we actually, before we had software that told us kind of the month by month, week by week daily performance of the campaigns, what we had is we had one client's account where when we launched all the campaigns, it was performing phenomenal. It was around 20% ACOS for the first 3 months. And then gradually I started to see the ACOS was slowly rising and our daily sales was kind of really slowing down. But when I pulled all the reports and we built a system to look into the reports and view the data on a week by week basis, I realized that the actual overall account ACOS was 50%. But all of these campaigns were showing like 23, 25, 27, 22. And it's just because it's showing you the lifetime data, but not the most recent data. So one of the very, very, it's very deceptive. And one of the problems that you'll have is that, you think you're performing well, but it's actually performing very poorly. So, I mean, other than using that manual strategy, I would personally just recommend going with software. Now we don't have it; it's not fully built yet. It's in like a beta version, but it's definitely something that you should use if you have over maybe 20 to 30 campaigns in your AMS account, or else it gets very difficult. If you're a smaller seller, you only have 1 to 2 products. I mean, you can definitely get away with going into your campaigns, optimizing it yourself, just adjusting the bids where necessary. You don't really need the software, but it's just the software is kind of something that saves you time. And that's kind of the main purpose of it. So I really can't give a better answer for it.
We can obviously, we'll share this software a bit later because it's obviously in beta. But before we do that, let's go over to get some questions from the audience. Richard, what have we got?
Yeah. So we got quite a few questions come through from the guys. If I take it from the top. Len was asking, does the diamond keyword strategy work for automatic campaigns?
Well, there is actually not really any automatic campaigns within AMS, but if I guess you'd have to clarify on the question in terms of automatic campaigns and sponsored ads, because there really is none in the AMS headline ads. But the diamond keyword campaign strategy is extremely effective. You're just taking all the profitable keywords from your sponsored ads in Seller Central. Again, that you can do that by going into your search report, and then you're putting them onto your headline ads. So I guess you have to clarify a little bit on that question. Sorry.
That's okay. Next one, Roy's asking, what's a decent CTR on AMS?
You know what? For the product display ads, I can post it in the show notes. I'll go through and look at the data. I don't really have it off the top of my head. But for the headline ads, a decent click-through rate for us on average, it's between 3 to 4%. And I think that's a lot higher than what it would be elsewhere. It's just because of the process that we go through for segmenting the headlines and making it as targeted as possible. But I can't really tell you what an average headline or click-through rate would be, again, because we kind of go through a really good process for trying to get the best click-through rate.
Okay, good answer. Ted is asking, is the Amazon suggested bid a good way to start?
Oh, so you know what? There's the estimated page one bid. We'll definitely use that when it shows up. Again, it doesn't show up right immediately. So if you were to put 100 keywords into a campaign, it's not going to show up immediately. It shows up once you start to get some data on those keywords. So we'll use that definitely, because here's a good, really extreme example. We had a keyword that was our main seed keyword for one of our clients' products, and it just like the estimated bid to get over 90% estimated page one win ratio was $49. That's the max bid you can have in the headline ads. And so I told my client, I was like, look, we can't win this because there's one of your competitors that's bidding $49 cost per click. And so we went in, we raised it to $49. We matched it just to test it. And we hit a $27 cost per click. And so we immediately shut it down. But it is a metric that you want to use, because after doing that test, I saw, okay, you know what? They are actually being somewhat honest and it's pretty accurate, opposed to in sponsored ads where it was the estimated page one bid. I think that was the actual question that she asked or he asked. That was usually very inaccurate. But the estimated page one win ratio is definitely a good bid to judge off of. And if you see that, okay, the minimum bid to win, the minimum percentage on page one is, let's say, 65 cents. Typically, you want to go like 10 cents over that. So you're just over all of those people. You can even go 20 cents over that. I know I just said 10, so everybody's going to be like 10 cents over. So you can just go 20. But you still want to be over each of those little thresholds in the estimated page one percentage win ratio. If that
okay, that's good.
Sense.
Yeah, that's great. Another question. We got a question from KP here.
Sure.
Can you change the name of your brand page, e.g., sent brand X as a sacrificial lamb to get into Vendor Central,
yeah,
and now want to use the brand page for a different brand? Can you change the name of the brand page?
You have to contact them. So I literally just went through this process because a client set up an AMS. He set up the brand as his company name, not the brand name. And it really messes with things, and he didn't like it. So you have to contact Amazon, and sometimes they'll change it for you. Sometimes they won't, and they'll tell you, no, it can't be done, but it has been done before. In other words, if you can't do it, it's fine. It'll just, show a different name or whatever it is. And then you can also add brands. I think, so you can go, it's the add or remove brands. And you can just add brands if you have more than one brand on Amazon under your company. But you'll have to contact them to get that done.
Okay, thanks for that. Mark's asking, what is a custom URL?
Okay, so a custom URL it's the URL that you build that you drive the traffic to. So if you're running a headline ad campaign, you'll see that the custom URL is one of the places you can drive the traffic to. And when you're building it, it's a really weird process that you have to go through. One of the ways we do it is we find the ASINs for our competitors. So you copy paste the ASIN into the Amazon search, put a pipe, and then put another ASIN, then a pipe. And you have to have a minimum of 3 ASINs. And then when you search those ASINs with the pipes in between them, it displays all those competitive products, and then, or your products in this case, sorry, not your competitive products. And then you can copy paste that URL, and that's your custom URL. It's kind of like you're building your own landing page with your own products.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wilson Lee, he's also asked, the link example you provided, is that the brand page?
Yes, the one, I think it should be a brand page for a company called Zone Nutrition. It's a supplement company, or some people pronounce it Joe Nutrition. They're actually for sale right now. I won't get into how much they're selling for, but they're a very good company, and they do some. They're known to do some crazy black hat stuff as well. I've learned a lot from them, but yes, it should be the brand page for that company.
Okay, good. Thank you. Fernando's asking, I think we probably covered this, but how do you get access to AMS? I think, Danny, you went through quite a detailed description there.
Yeah. Well, in the replay, go back and you can make
pick it
notes
up
from
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Mark is asking, what's the difference between the brand page and custom URL, and when would you use one over the other?
Well, the difference is the brand page is more about your brand. So you can have your own nice little banner that has, okay, what you're selling. It has a nice image of maybe your company, and it has some image of some people using your products. It can be whatever you want it to be. It's just more about displaying your brand. And then the custom URL is just like, it's almost as if you're building a custom page within Amazon that looks like the natural organic search results when you search something on Amazon. So when you search whatever testosterone booster and you see those search results, it's kind of like that's what the search results look like when you build your custom URL. Is that, Danny, is that a decent way to explain it?
Yes. Yeah,
okay. Yeah. Okay.
That pretty much covers it. Yeah. No,
One thing I'll cover with everybody is, I don't think I mentioned this, it's interest targeting product display ads. So a really good strategy that we use. So a lot of people struggle with getting these interest targeting product display ad campaigns to convert. I'll walk through sort of the process that we have, because we're able to usually achieve an interest targeting campaign that has $50 to $150 sales per day at an ACOS between 15 to 30%. And I think it's achievable for everybody on this call to be able to get that as well. So what we like to do is, for it's kind of like step one, what we do is we go in, we look at all the available interest that Amazon provides. Now there's 15 different shoppers interest categories that you'll see, and there's actually 220 total different shoppers interests. Now you don't have to go through all of them. I've personally done it and read through them all, kind of like a geek in that regard. But you want to start building a list of all the interests that are relevant to your product. Even like Danny said earlier, even if it is in a different, if it's kind of like related but not directly related. So if you're selling a coffee mug, you want to target, actual coffee, like grind, actually different blends of coffee. It's still related in that regard. So build the list of all your interests, like Danny said, that are directly related to your product. Or your interest of your product, and then a list where you have the ones that are closely related in a more closer market as well. So in the example where we have testosterone booster, we wouldn't just target other supplements. We would go out and target. We would do fitness gear, fitness apparel, all different types of workout equipment, and we even we take it to like the nth degree. We go to the end of the universe in terms of finding the interests that are the best ones and are most related. So step 3 is when you're doing these campaigns, and you set the starting bid for each of them. I like to set it between 15 to 30 cents as a starting bid with a $20 budget. Now, it depends on your niche where you want to set the bid, but I say always start low, because, like I said, these are the campaigns that is very broad targeting. And we've seen clients that they do $1.10 bid, $100 budget, and then they've blown through $700 in a week, and it's absolutely ridiculous. So very low bid to start off of, and then let that run for like 7 to 10 days. Okay, see how many impressions you get, see how much traffic you get, and then adjust the bid where necessary. So if you see, okay, you don't get that much traffic, you can go in, you can adjust the bid and raise it maybe 10 cents. I don't like to raise it more than like 80%. So if it's 10 cents, I wouldn't like to raise it more than up to 18 cents. I wouldn't go any higher than that. So if 20 cents, you'd raise it to whatever that is, 80% of that. So let it run and then see where you need to adjust depending on how much traffic you get. Now, if you see that you don't have a lot of traffic, okay, raise the bid. If you see that you have a low amount of sales and it's converted at a profitable rate, again, raise that bid slightly. And if you see that it's just converting horribly and it's just bleeding you money, well, obviously lower that bid. And we like to lower it to the bare minimum, 1 cent above the bare minimum, which depending on which I think it's actually 3 cents. In the headline ads, the minimum bid is 10 cents. And then in the product display, you can bid, you have to be higher than 2 cents. So if it's not converting well, drop the bid down to 1 cent over the bare minimum, and you can just let it run at that, because if you're getting 3 cent clicks, I mean, you're not gonna be bleeding money anytime soon. So it's definitely something you can do. And then after you've optimized the bid, so let's say that now you've been tweaking the bid for 2 weeks. It generally takes us 1 month to be able to find that sweet spot for the bid that converts at a profitable rate with a $20 budget. Once you've found that, The next step is you need to split test the budget, and you need to increase and decrease the budget depending. Obviously, it's converting profitably. You want to increase the budget, and we do that because way back in the day, like maybe a year and a half ago, maybe actually 2 years ago, when you were doing sponsored ads in PPC, if you raised the budget on a campaign, Amazon would, like what we noticed is that it would increase the amount of traffic that they would give you, even if the bid wouldn't change. You just increase the budget and increase the amount of traffic. So we do the same thing. Is if we have a product display ad interest targeting campaign that's converting well, once we've optimized that bid, then what we'll do is we'll go through, raise the budget, to play around with the budget, and split test with that, and just try to find the optimal budget. And usually, what you can walk away with is a campaign that converts at $50 to $150 per day, between 15 to 30% ACOS on the most targeted, relevant interests. Is that an okay description?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
Lots of detail.
There's Ted and Chris. Do you want to hit those?
Yeah, Chris. Chris, he's asking, what do you charge to manage AMS ads for people? I think he likes what you say.
It's it's a custom charge. We don't have any given per product rate. If you want to know, you just contact me at my email, which is taylor@betterams.com. It should be in the link below, and we'll probably jump on the phone, or you'll jump on the phone with one of our account executives. Since you're on this call, I'll get on the phone with you and we can talk about it. But that's kind of the best way.
That's great. We got another one from Chris, different Chris. Is the software available?
So I created a link for everybody that's watching this call, for Seller Sessions people only, really. And I go over what the software is. I completely forgot about this in this landing page. So it's a link. You can go to the special link. We talk about the software, and you can get early access to the software. So there's like a sign up, email sign up, and the first 5 people to go to this link and sign up, we're going to get them in immediately within the next 10 days. But if you're not one of the first 5, don't worry. We're going to get you in before anybody else. We're going to get you into the beta.
Make it clear, guys. We don't do affiliate links or anything like that. So this is purely direct. Yes. Taylor, and you guys. Taylor's given up his time and shared a lot. So I was happy for him, and Richard's happy for him to share his new software. So I'd like to see him do well, and for us, we're gaining a lot of knowledge here to share with you guys. Ted's got an interesting one. Do you want to go through that one?
Yeah, we put the link out now. Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to put the link out, and I'll put the slides up with the information on as well?
That's the link to the software.
Yes.
Ted's question. So this question from Ted is, if your sacrificial product is already in Amazon, will they be able to look at that inventory when they request samples, or do you need to send them samples directly?
Danny, do you want to hit this one and describe it? I can do it if you want. Oh, I think he actually popped out. So
I think you're still there hiding.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, I'm just because I'm bringing the slides in. So Ted is asking, can Amazon see the historic sales?
I think he's trying to share the screen, so that will pop up.
Yeah.
Have you got it? Has it come up for me?
Do you want to cover that question then, Taylor?
Yeah. So, do you want to recap on the question real quick? I think
question. If your sacrificial product is already in Amazon.
Yep.
Will they be able to look at that inventory when they request samples, or do you need to send them samples directly?
I believe you need to send those samples directly because you need to change the UPC codes, but you'll have to clarify with Danny on that because I'm not an expert on getting into AMS. I'm just kind of like the guy that knows how to actually manage the campaign. So maybe that Danny would be the best one to ask for that one.
Can you guys hear me?
We'll pick it up with Danny.
Yeah, we can hear you.
You can hear me?
Bharat asked, how do you get to the EIN for the tax part of Vendor Express? I think we covered that when Danny went through his how do you get into AMS?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And KP has asked a question. Do you need to offer a product for AMS access in Germany, France, Estonia, and Italy?
Very good question. I have no clients out there. Maybe you can answer that or Danny can answer that. But I think that the process overall is the same. I imagine they wouldn't just let you get access to it. The only other market that I can think of that you can kind of get access to it right away, if I'm not mistaken, is Japan. And I might be wrong on that, so don't quote me on that. But Japan is you can just get access to it if you're a seller. But I might be wrong on that. I think Danny's he's out of the call.
Can you hear me?
Danny's kind of gone on a bit of a hiatus from us at the moment, so that's fine. He might be coming back to join us now.
I can hear you, Danny. I don't know if everybody else can. I don't think.
Richard
can hear you.
Okay, can you see the screen though?
No,
Yeah.
I'm not hearing you at the moment.
Yeah, I can see the shared screen.
Okay, cool. All right.
Or just the presentation slide.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so at the bottom here, if everyone can hear me, there's the links to Taylor's pages, and
Cool.
obviously the example we've included there as well.
Yes.
Okay, so in additional news to this as well, I've been asked to present AMSCon and Private Label Days, which are two conferences for Amazon
Cool.
sellers and vendors, which is taking place in Bonn in Germany on the June the 2nd and the 3rd. Can you ask Richard, if he can't hear me, to post the link into the chat? So if anyone's in Europe and would like to go out and do a bit of networking, the opportunity is there. I'm going to be a keynote speaker on the Saturday, and also on the bill will be Kevin Reiser, Will Turland, and Manuel Beckvar, along with obviously a lot of the great German speakers as well.
And this is for the conference, right? Do you want me to ask him to post the link?
Yes, please.
Okay, Richard, can you go ahead and post the link for that?
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
Get it then.
Cool. Awesome.
Excellent. Okay, is there any other questions to cover?
I think somebody asked, can a chocolate company sign up with AMS? That's a good question.
Israel, yeah.
I don't know. That's a really awesome question. A chocolate company. I've never worked with.
Actually, I don't know if this is right. I mean, I've just been ungated in grocery, so I've just moved into that in the UK.
No way.
And with chocolate, you can only go in certain periods of the year. I think it's May until October out of bounds because of the issues with melting in terms of FBA. I would imagine that is the same kind of issue that you would have with Vendor Express. So I would say if you're going to sell stuff, consumables into Vendor Express, stuff in jars, longer life, because I think there's a minimum of 55-day expiry period. So really, you want to be selling products longer than 180 days and are not likely to melt.
Yes. Dude, I'm so surprised you know that. That's awesome. I'm glad you know that. That's super cool.
Cool. Any other questions? So we've covered the AMS one there. I think Vendor Express in EU. See, we've got Vendor Express in the EU, and that's a good question. I don't know. And I plan to sell through Vendor Express through Europe, but I've not tested it yet. So I don't have the answer to that. But it is called vendorexpress.eu. So I'm imagining that you can apply for each territory.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that. I think you just hit the nail on the head with that.
Cool. Any more questions?
I don't think so. The minimized video screen of Taylor and Richard is covering up the link for the landing page in the presentation. Can you post the landing page link? Yes. Richard, do you want to post the landing page link in the chat for Henning? I don't know the Amazon landing page. I think it's talking about the brand page.
Oh, the brand page.
Is there any questions
on
the
AMZCon?
I don't think so. I think we have a question. I think we knocked it out of the park.
Richard, can you ask Richard if there's any questions on the YouTube channel? Could it split across both platforms?
Yeah, sure. Richard, is there any questions on the YouTube channel?
There's nothing come through on the YouTube channel that we need to get answered. There's no questions come through on there, so we're going with the questions that we have here.
Cool. So there's nothing on the YouTube channel. Let's say we use Vendor Express to unlock AMS. If we stop using VE, does AMS disappear? Let's say we use Vendor Express to unlock AMS. Danny, do you want to hit that one? I'm kind of confused on that one.
So I think what she's saying is if you were to start serving a product to Amazon and decided to not sell that product to them anymore for any reason, does AMS close? The answer is I don't know the answer to that, but I would say whatever you need to do to keep AMS rolling, I would do so. Even though it's a pain in the backside, put it down as a product cost. Share that across your catalog. And then you can work out over the year. So let's just say that you sell to Amazon and you lose a little bit of money each time.
Yep.
It's still worth selling into Amazon. If it's 500 quid, you subdivide that down by 12 months and then offset against 3 different products. That's still going to be a lot cheaper than most of your PPC campaigns when you're using Seller Central.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's so worth it. I mean, I think everybody has to get into it. And to be honest with you, for everyone on this call, in a year from now, this is something that I'm just going to share with everybody. The executive that we speak with at Amazon said that they're planning to merge AMS into Seller Central 2018. So it's going to be something huge, and everybody's going to have access to it eventually. So it's very important you get access to it now before everybody has it, so that you understand the platform, you understand how to use it, but more importantly, you can use this to your advantage and have that edge while still not very many sellers have it. I think that's why it's so amazing right now. It's just because not a lot of people have it, so you can get very low cost per click on main keywords. Like for example, the keyword testosterone booster. That's probably a bad example, but the main seed keyword that you'll have for any product will be anywhere between 50 to like 80% less than what it would be on PPC sponsored ads. It's ridiculous, the cost comparison per click from sponsored ads to AMS for the same keyword.
Cool. Right. So let's wrap here. I think we pretty much covered everyone's questions. I'm just looking at the board here. We're going to be back, guys, on Wednesday, the 22nd. As you know, we do every 2 weeks. Big thank you again to our partners, Web Retailer, Escape the Rat Race, Source from Asia, and newly launched Private Label Weekly. You should check out those guys who round up some stories each week. So it's a nice little digest there. Again, thank you very much, Taylor, for coming in today. And we'll get you back later on the year. Maybe we'll do a panel and we can do a little bit of an update of AMS. So I'm hoping that everyone enjoyed it. Again,
absolutely.
Richard, thank you. So guys, we're going to sign off and say goodbye. Again, much love.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for your time. See you in 2 weeks.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.